Okay guys, back to the Outer Circle, and in this episode of Getting Started in the Horus Heresy, Ferrus Manus, Primarch of the Iron Hands, and Iron Hands characters in general. So, the Iron Hands are in a very, very bad place for characters. They currently have 2 named characters because the coolest of them, Castrum and Orth, didn't have a model, so he had to go, and they decided when they wrote the Legacies PDF, which just applied putting pen to paper and no actual work, they didn't decide to include that character. And he was cool because he was a tank commander, an actual model that you upgraded your vehicle with to have that tank commander, which is something neat and something different and something outside of the box and therefore fun. And we're not allowed to have fun. We're only allowed to do what makes money. Anyway, salt aside, you have Ortek Moore and Shadrach Medusan. So I'm going to start with Medusan. He's okay stats-wise, pretty much Praetor stats with subpar weaponry. But the big thing with him was he was a Shadow Legion's commander in Heresy 1. You took him and you could take Legion troops from Raven Guard, Salamanders, and Iron Hands without penalty. You could use different warlord traits. You could use different rights of war, that kind of thing with him. Because he was able to meld it all together. And that was really fucking cool. In Heresy 2.0, he doesn't have that. So, he sucks. Don't take him. They sort of screwed him in the lore, and now they've screwed him on the tabletop. Then the other choice is Ironfather Ortek Moore. Now, Ortek Moore is actually very strong. So, you're getting Gorgon Armor, Cyberphilia, Battlesmith, which is all great. You're getting a 4+ invul save still. You're getting Machinator Array, Strength 6 Precision Strikes, and they're going to hit on, I think, 3+ as well. So really good for, hey, there's a guy with a special weapon, or a Thunder Hammer, or a Power Fist, and then just ripping his eyes out with your servo arm. That's pretty funny. His weapon is a giant-ass halberd, probably because they're expecting you to use that Ironfather model that they've been selling on Forge World for a decade now, with the giant halberd. So they made it have stats that weren't just a power axe now. So strength +2, AP 2, two-handed reaping blow. Very similar to the Death Shroud power sides. His warlord trait is an interesting one. So you can count as doing an additional wound for the sake of your combat resolution. But you take a hit on yourself that ignores your save in order to do so, which is very, very situational in its use. Like a worst case, this is going to save the game move, okay, but I would rather a real warlord trait that actually had effect over multiple turns of the game and was consistent and reliable to call upon. Again, Promethean Will, Salamander's ability to ignore pinning throughout the entire game and fear is really good. This is not. But Ortek Moore is solid. He is not going to go around beating challenge-eccentric Primarchs in close combat. You know, he's going to lose to Sigmunds, your Causewains, your Eidolons, that kind of thing. Sure. But against regular Praetors, he'll be solid. And if you can find a way of getting rad grenades into his squad, then he is going to go to town and absolutely annihilate things like enemy Terminators, because he'll just instant death them with a ridiculous amount of attacks at strength 6. So, good for him. Alright, then we get to the Primarch, and Ferrus Manus kind of has it all. He is really, really good. The Hammer, Forgebreaker, strength 12, Exoshock 3+. It's brutal. It's brutal 3. I mean, he hits you like a Dreadnought's Power Fist, but it's even stronger. Every time it hits a vehicle, it's probably going to blow it up. It's AP 1. It's got multiple penetrating hits. He backs it with a servo arm. Like, brutal is king in the new edition. And so having a model that has brutal attacks, and brutal 3, it's just let's say in Heresy 1.0, he would get 2 wounds through on Horus. You'd go, 2 wounds, whatever. Horus is still going to win this fight. But in this edition, he could get 3 times that through potentially. That's a game changer. You know, it turns what should be a middle-of-the-road Primarch who's, you know, good at combat, good at buffing his army, good at a bit of everything, but not excelling in any one area, into, by dint of the way they've written the rules in the edition, and the, you know, they didn't think things through with this edition, and Brutal is one of them. And he is therefore one of the best combat Primarchs in the game, not because he should be, but because they wrote the rules for his weapon in a way that makes it really good. Like, he will probably kill Sanguinius in the first round of a combat between the two. That kind of level of good. It's just retardedly good. Because they didn't think through Brutal, the same as they didn't think through the weapon skill table. They looked at the weapon skill table and went, oh yes, well, you know, it should make sense that weapon skill 5 is better than weapon skill 4. We need to show that on the tabletop. So instead of being 3 plus to hit and 4 plus for the weaker squad to hit, now it's an actual negative penalty. So it went to, oh, you need 5s to hit. And it just changed the balance across the board of the game, because now the gulf between weapon skill 5 and weapon skill 4 is just enormous. It's a fucking, it's a chasm, okay? It's the Marianas Trench of gulfs going up in weapon skill. And then when you combine that with someone like Ferrus, who has, you know, he's got a high weapon skill. Yeah, it's not as high as many Primarchs, but it's high enough. Combined with the fact that he's got a weapon that's going to be striking out initiative, and it's going to be Brutal 3, and it's going to be Strength 12, and it's going to be AP 1. Units aren't ever going to get Feel No Pain against this, because it's passing that instant death threshold. You can't use Feel No Pain against wounds that would inflict instant death, even if you are Eternal Warrior. That's hugely important, because Toughness 6 is the average Primarch toughness. So Ferrus is stopping damage mitigation, as well as tripling the amount of potential wounds caused. All of this is huge. On top of that, he is incredibly good at shooting. In fact, he is far better at shooting than fucking Vulcan is, and Vulcan's got 2 weapons. Well, Ferrus also has weapons. He has a plasma weapon, and he has a flamer weapon. He has a grav weapon. So go Ferrus, really good all-rounder. And his amazing ability, to put it bluntly, is the Sire of the Iron Hands, which is everyone gets Feel No Pain. 6 plus. Okay, fine. Doesn't stack with other versions of the rule, but it's army-wide and it's free. But where it's good is all his vehicles gain It Will Not Die 5 plus. Now remember, your Legion trait gives you +1 to It Will Not Die, or 6 plus It Will Not Die. So your vehicles have 4 plus It Will Not Die. What? That means every time a vehicle gets a las cannon sponsor and blow off on a 4 plus next turn, that sponsor basically is grown back. It's really good. Really good. And he himself, of course, is an incredible battlesmith, because, yeah, it's his thing. So he can go around, like, stick him in something like a Land Raider Achilles and just laugh as the thing is just shrugging off wounds while chugging forward with this fucking behemoth inside. He doesn't even need a bodyguard. He can jump into a 10-man squad of Terminators and just end it in the one turn. He's insane. And of course, because now he benefits from the Legion trait, the -1 strength on enemy shooting, yeah, he is functionally immune to Strength 4 weapons. Just, that's it. They don't hurt him, because he is Toughness 7. So they go to Strength 3. Strength 3 cannot ever wound Toughness 7. Because that's another buff he needed. Just, again, I hate to harp on the point. These episodes are not about the negatives of the game system, but bad rules writing, because nobody thought through how these things would actually play out on the tabletop. So you've got a guy who's rewarded for getting into close combat, and you are punished for trying to shoot him to stop him getting into close combat. Even missile launchers are only going to wound him on a 4 plus. Okay, and you're not going to have many of those. You're relying on something like, I don't know, a Sunkiller las cannon squad to try and bring this guy down. And he's probably still going to get to you, because he is surprisingly fast, because the fact that he's wearing a form of Cataphractii Terminator armor, he didn't get the memo on mobility, so he is getting there. yeah, Ferris is a monster and right up there with the top of Primarchs. He's got a Graviton Shredder, a Heavy Flamer, and a Plasma Blaster, and he can fire all three in one turn. That's more firepower than some vehicles have. It's insane. It's insane. Really, really strong Primarch. So, yeah. Great for you if you're taking an armoured spearhead of some kind and you take Iron Hands, because holy hell. It's scary. Anyway, that's it. Back with the Outer Circle, that was Iron Hands. Nice and brief episode because they have nothing. Most of the episode is just how good Ferrus Manus is, and spoilers vary. Anyway, that's it. I will see you all on the next one.